Okay. Do you have to do anything, Lizzie? Tell me when we're good to go. We're good to go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. I am so happy to welcome you to all to this month's Think and Drink. My name is Caroline, and I am the programming coordinator here. And I'm just so excited to have you guys all here to learn about this really cool foundation. So for those who don't know, Think and Drinks are a free monthly speaker series that happens on the first Thursday of every month. This year, we are celebrating the historical, modern, and future great women of the Great Lakes and beyond. So all of those cool ladies who have had an impact on our lives in one way or another. I would like to thank our sponsor, the Wisconsin Humanities Council. The Wisconsin Humanities Council is the reason why we can have these talks be free and available both in person and online. Wisconsin Humanities Council strengthens our democracy through cultural programs that build connections and understanding between people of all backgrounds and beliefs throughout the state. So they are super awesome. So today we have a really exciting talk to you guys about the Black Girls Dive Foundation. So we've got Dr. Nevada Winrow, Dwayne Johnson, and Gwyneth Packard. They're going to be talking about this cool foundation. But I believe we're starting with a video first about the foundation, and then I'll let them talk. So, okay.
I'm in Black Girls Dive Foundation, and we just got our certification for 40 feet open water.
Need to be reiterated. We're about to be in the what? The ocean. All right, it's showtime now. Serious business. So, things that I always taught y'all. Main thing is this: if you're breathing, everything's fine.
It's exciting, but it's also kind of scary because a lot can happen. A lot can go wrong if you miss one step or something.
Things that we do in scuba diving is about figuring stuff out and being adaptive. But most of the time, the regulators in your mouth, mask starts to fill up with water. You know how to clear that. I want y'all to focus on that word that begins with an S. Anybody remember?
Situational awareness.
Thank you.
Getting to dive is really cool. This is my first time too, and I'm getting a certification for it. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of new experience that I've never done before, or none of my friends have done before. So it's really exciting. There's a certain type of joy to it that you can't really explain.
When I was so I put my hands, I kind of buried them under the sand so I could get more of a feel. And because I like it, I don't know, I like the feel. And I was digging around for stuff. Thought I'd find some buried treasure or something.
It feels nice to know that after all these months, something finally came to be. I finally get what I worked for. I was incredibly worried that something was going to happen. I wasn't going to be able to equalize and I couldn't do it. And I just not get certified. That was my biggest fear the whole time. But, I did it.
It makes me feel accomplished, I guess. Because it's been a long process. And now we're here and I did it.
I feel like the biggest challenge I faced was mass clearing. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But now I can do it really good. Today was my favorite dive because it was a lot of wildlife, which I really liked. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. The visibility was really good down there today, so that was rewarding. We saw 2 remora eels. They were nice. I almost got slapped in the face by one, which was okay. I saw a lot of really good fish.
The remoras were probably my favorite thing that I saw on the trip. They were adorable though.
All right. So So, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Nevada Winrow. I am the co-founder of Black Girls Dive Foundation. I have with me two very important individuals that plays a significant role. We have Dwayne Johnson and Gwyneth Packard. Just a little bit about me. My background is not in marine science. I'm a pediatric neuropsychologist by training, but I do have a love for the ocean. And several years ago, I wanted to create a space where young ladies can come together and learn about the ocean, being ocean stewards. So, hence, Black Girls Dive was erected in 2007. Dwayne?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dwayne Johnson. I'm the dive safety officer for Black Girls Dive Foundation. My background also isn't originally in marine sciences. I'm actually a electrical engineer and have been doing engineering work in the privacy compliance world for the past, I guess, about 15 years now. Been doing various STEM related activities, but and I tell us often, when I was 10, I actually wanted to be a marine scientist, but was steered away from it because it was told, hey, there's no money in it, there's really no path for you. So I kind of veered away from that and went hardcore engineering. And now, in my 50s, I'm trying to find my way back to the thing I loved at the age of 10. Gwyneth?
Hi, I'm Gwyneth Packard, and I'm a senior engineer at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, and I joined the board of advisors for Black Girls Dive, and I also am part of the ROV program. My training actually is, I started out in physics and then moved into physical oceanography or ocean physics for my first career. My second career, I moved further into computer science, and now I'm in my third career. I joined the lab I'm in back in 2008, and I've been working on applying my computer science and physical oceanography to programming autonomous underwater vehicles for ocean exploration, and using our lab access as a resource for Black Girls Dive, bringing the scholars up to experience some hands-on stuff at the oceanographic and working on various internship opportunities.
So, just a little bit about our history. We were founded in 2017 based on a couple of, I would say, an environmental scan of what was available for young ladies. Two things came out of it. It's what I call historical exclusion. So when we went back and we started discussing what are some of the actual barriers to the marine and ocean sciences, from a historical background, we talked about, for instance, the denied access to pools and beaches, and also the denied access to quality higher education. And we know that yielded what I then call underrepresentation, where you don't see a lot of African Americans in aquatic-based recreational sports. You don't see a lot of us in the marine sciences, and particularly aquatic-based, what I call aquatic-based occupations. So with the team, we sat around and, we put our big kid hats on and said, what could we do? What type of activities could we do to inspire young ladies to, at minimum, have a greater appreciation for the ocean and get some incredible skills along the way? So we came up with the Streams program. So the mission of Black Girls Dive Foundation is keeping young girls afloat. So we're empowering girls to explore and develop their STEM identity through science and marine conservation. We have a very comprehensive program. Our Streams program stands for science, technology, robotics, engineering, the arts, mathematics, and science, and SCUBA and scientific diving. So that's our hallmark program, which is Streams. We also looked at barriers to participation. One of the key barriers to particularly scuba diving is the cost. So we looked for ways to remove that particular barrier through funding with grants as well as through donations. Other barriers such as preparedness. We know that particularly in urban areas, it's like a STEM desert. There's a lack of AP classes that's available. Also, in-field experiences are often unpaid, so that's a big deterrent for individuals who want to get field experience, which you actually need, particularly if you're interested in going into grad school. You need these experiences, but in our experience, these individuals also need to work. So they end up turning down these unpaid in-field experiences, and that's where one of comes in, is where we're looking for funding mechanisms to ensure that our BGD scholars have an opportunity to get paid in-field experiences, and it makes them more competitive in grad school as well as in the workforce. There's also some cultural narratives and cultural practices that are associated with individuals of color with aquatic based activities. We all know that 1 in 5 Black children, I believe it's 1 in 5, know how to swim. They're at greater risk of drowning. And that is a historical and a generational narrative that has been passed down about Blacks not being able to swim, being scared of water. And somehow that transitions into, well, I can't be a marine scientist because I don't know how to swim. And it's a misunderstanding. There's a disconnect with that, where it's not that you need to know how to swim, but they don't want to be around water. So a part of this program is about dispelling myths, cultural practices, for instance, with Black women getting their hair wet. That is a big conversation that we have. And it's more just about hair education. Your hair's not going to fall out if you take care of it. So we really looked at those types of barriers, and our team got together and figured out how to address it. Our streams program, we take individuals as early as 9 and we follow them all the way up through college and into the workforce. We do that so we have longitudinal metrics to know, for those individuals who have gone through our program, how many entered into college. Of those, how many entered into a STEM program? And of those, how many graduated with a STEM degree? And those with a STEM degree, did they go into grad school or did they go directly into the workforce? So we take a longitudinal approach so we can really assess our impact. And I am proud to say we have a 100% college admission rate. All of our students have entered into a science-based program. We have individuals at Drexel University, Spelman, Coastal Carolina, and we have an individual at the Savannah College of Arts and Design who is interested in animation, which still involves STEM. So we did a good job for that. Our streams component comprises of our scuba diving, scientific diving, robotics, coding, ocean science, marine conservation, underwater photography and cinematography, and CPR and first aid, and also 3D printing. I forgot about 3D printing. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to my dive safety officer to kind of talk about how we're integrating STEM with scuba diving.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we have a lot of fun at Black Girls Dive, and one of the things that people are astounded at is how can we make sure that we have all these activities connected. And because we do, in some cases, project-based learning, we do a lot of, okay, so scuba diving is something that's taught, so you now have a skill. So now what do you do with that skill? So they spend we do longer than a traditional certification course. So we normally have our scholars in the water for about 3 to 4 months before they actually go do their checkout dives. So that's a combination of doing their classroom sessions, their pool sessions. We do a hybrid training model where we do on a weekly basis. We're meeting over Google Classroom, and then we're meeting in the pool, and then we're having sessions where we're just talking over the material and then do an example example problems, getting them familiar with how to problem solve in real time. Since really the biggest thing with scuba diving is being able to know how to problem solve, or like the video was, in the video was talking about having situational awareness and then know what to do when various situations present itself. So then we take that and we say, you now have this skill of scuba diving. Okay, so there may be places that we need to go to do research that we can't send a scuba diver. So now what do? That's when we start employing the robotics and the ROV. So now if we're doing autonomous missions, how do we get, teaching them now to say, okay, we're not teaching you how to program the big ROVs, but you get a basic understanding of the development languages so that you can program a small underwater ROV or aerial ROV, in which case we use the DJI Trellos, and then those programming languages and skills are transferable to the larger drones.
So we're talking about AUVs and robotics, Gwyneth.
So the lab I work in developed a family of autonomous underwater vehicles. And so what the autonomous part of that is that these are not tethered. So when the girls are working with their ROVs, they have some control all the time. There's a tether between them and the vehicle. The ones that I work on in our lab, we program all of the decision making and put in all of the energy, charge them up with batteries, and then we unplug them and send them on their way, hoping that they come back, which they usually do. And so that's part of the evolution of what we're teaching the girls is the human presence, and then extending the human presence, and then going where the humans can't go. Some of the advantages of the autonomous underwater vehicles are, greater depth. We have vehicles that can go all the way to the bottom of the ocean basin. Yeah. What else?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I'm pretty excited when we launch our ROV program this year, and they get a chance to operate these, or as they call it, flying
Yeah.
ROVs. So I'm really excited about that. They also take courses in ocean science, shark research and conservation, which is one of our capstones, coral reef ecology, CPR and first aid is very big. All of our BGD scholars are certified in CPR and first aid their first year. And I guess with talking about this, when we follow our BGD scholars every year, each year becomes progressively more advanced. So their first year, they're getting their open water certification. They're learning some of the basics of ocean science and some shark research and conservation. And after end of every year, we have what's called a capstone. During that capstone, they apply everything they learned that year into a project and an excursion. So for instance, your first year, our students historically would go to Forfar International Field Station. We've now transitioned over to the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Science. And it's during that time that they finish their checkout dives and they complete their projects. We also have what's called mid capstones. So for instance, for our shark research and conservation, our students are learning about shark research. They're actually going out and tagging sharks with a satellite tag on their dorsal fin. Then they learn ArcGIS to track the sharks, and they're learning physics so they can calculate the speed and distance, the average speed and distance that a shark is traveling. They're looking at shark ecology, where are they migrating to, where do they have a propensity to populate. and so forth. So they get a lot of skills with the ArcGIS software that they learn to do that task. Second year, they transition into advanced open water certification. Historically, well, it depends on the year. We kind of had a hiccup because of COVID, and travel was kind of off limits for us. But we work with the Coral Restoration Foundation, where they go and they do what is it called? Coral nursery cleaning. Is that the correct term? Dwayne, is it they clean the coral in the coral nursery, so they're learning about coral. They take their coral reef ecology program with our partnership with the Living Oceans Foundation. Third year, their diving becomes more advanced. So now we're looking at having them certified in scientific diving. This past year, they went to, is it the Blue Grotto in Florida, where they did their scientific dive, their AAUS scientific dive certification through the University of Delaware, which is one of our partners. They also get specialized certification in full face mask and dry suit. And dive propulsion vehicle was also there. Let's see. There are advanced dives. So we have, as a mid capstone, we have aquarium dive certification. So during that component, they're learning about how the aquarium plays a role in conservation. They're behind the scenes. They're learning about how to manage an aquarium tank is large, for instance, with Georgia Aquarium. So they have opportunity. They all dive the Georgia Aquarium. We also dive Epcot. I believe it's Nemo and Friends at Epcot. And our third dive will be the Colorado Aquarium. So they love diving the aquarium because now they have all the marine life there at one time. So we literally just came back from the Georgia Aquarium a couple of weeks ago. So they had 2 whale sharks in the tank and just a myriad of other, diverse marine life. Our biggest capstone is the Egypt capstone. It's a little more comprehensive. We take them to dive the Red Sea in Sharm el Sheikh. They spend a year training because they do a night dive there. They do a drift dive. They are also spending a year taking Arabic as a requirement. We do integrate culture in all of our programs. So they are taking a sewing class. So they're learning how to design patterns and cut patterns and sew a hijab for their trip to Egypt. They also have some cultural activities that they engage in. For instance, learning about the Egyptian history. They visit the Egyptian Museum. They love riding the ATVs through the desert. So they really get a robust experience for our Egypt capstone. I'm trying to think, am I missing anything?
No, you covered most of it.
Okay. In terms of pedagogy, we have both place-based learning and our project-based learning. So as I was discussing, we visit museums, we visit aquariums, science laboratories, and of course their capstone expeditions that they have every year. They have their project-based learning. So we have our conservation projects. For instance, we have a oyster restoration project where they are using 3D modeling to build substrates to, Dwayne, help me out
Right.
on this.
The substrates are right now. The creation of substrates are an expensive item when trying to try to rebuild a lot of these oyster reefs. So really, just coming up with cost-effective means to create substrate that doesn't really negatively impact the environment. So we're working at trying to do dissolvable support systems so that by the time the oyster reef is large enough that it can sustain its own weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like Gwen have talked about, our AUVs and ROVs. We have the DJI drones. We have 5 fish. We are getting our blue ROV, and we're spending some time with marine simulation to have them on the computer first for learning how to navigate these very expensive ROVs before we put them in the water, just so they can get the feel of them. They're also building, they're having an opportunity to build one so they can understand the design process, the fabrication process, the testing that goes along. So that's that whole problem solving and figuring out, did I not solder something correctly? Why isn't this switch working? So we definitely tested limits with that one. Yeah, that's our program. Are there any questions?
Okay, we do have questions. So yes.
Okay.
Hey, so I don't think I catch, where are you based? Where are these girls from? How many participate each year? And how do you fund this fantastic program?
So yes, Kathy asked, where are you guys based? How many participants? And then where do you guys get the funding for all of your cool programs?
So funding first. So applying for a lot of grants. We have some generous donors. Right now, our Impetus program, which stands for Improving Minority Participation in Education and Training in the Underwater Sciences, is funded under the Simon Foundation. We also have the Pearl Millings grant that's funding our ROV initiative. In terms of place, so we have several chapters. We have a New Jersey chapter. We have a chapter at the University of Delaware. We have a Maryland chapter where we're kind of bifurcating now and going into some schools such as St. Francis Academy and the Baltimore Women's Leadership Academy. And we have a chapter at the Baltimore Aquarium and a new chapter that's just being erected in the on the West Coast. In terms of
Georgia.
Atlanta.
Georgia Aquarium, Atlanta, yeah. In terms of size, so we use a cohort model. Our max is 10 students per chapter per cohort. 6 to 8 is our sweet spot, but our max is 10. And we have a 95% retention rate, so we're doing very well. And they've stuck with us. So we've been around since 2017.
And do the girls cycle through the program multiple?
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah, do the girls cycle through the program? Like, how does the cohorts do?
So the cohorts move together. They move together year by year.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that you start recruiting girls as young as 9 years old. So
yeah.
Where do you advertise? Do you go to schools and say, hey, there's this cool program? How do you get the word out about the foundation?
Sure, social media, schools in the area, word of mouth. So it is a competitive process. There is an application. We require 3 recommendations, one from the math teacher, one from the science teacher, one from the guidance counselor. There is an interview, and we also look at report cards. And this year we implemented some basic testing to kind of get some baselines to see, what the improvements are.
We've got a couple of questions from our online viewers. One from Lloyd. Are you using an umbilicus system in the aquarium for
No, we actually have tanks on our back, so we're not using the umbilical cord system. At least when we dove in the Georgia Aquarium, and when we do Epcot, I believe we're also doing tanks. So to me, using an umbilical system will require advanced training.
And another question we had from our online viewers is, what are your goals for the future? Are there any exciting trips or experiences that you want to offer your students sometime?
Let's see. Well, Egypt is our big one. That's the one that everyone looks forward to. But I would like to take them to Antarctica.
That would be exciting.
And we were talking about France as well for oysters,
Yeah.
since we're looking at different countries that's doing oyster conservation and restoration work, which then ties together them doing the research and them having the cultural component.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, you didn't mention marine archaeology or documenting shipwrecks. And also, I wonder if you've ever considered doing projects in the Great Lakes or having a Great Lakes chapter to do some fantastic wreck diving up here in Lake Michigan.
I'm glad you brought that up. We've been talking to some wonderful people at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum about having an underwater archaeology project. We've also been in discussions with another team with looking at correct me if I'm wrong, the Mona Pass with looking at slave ships wreckage. So yeah, we're definitely open. I know Dwayne gets excited when particularly you talk about 3D printing and putting, some type of ship together and sinking it in the pool. So yeah, that is definitely on our to-do list in the next year.
Well, it's encouraging to know that you're doing dry suit diving since
yes,
it's pretty cold up here.
And I always tell people I'm a scuba princess, so I need at least 79 degrees.
Difficult in Lake Michigan for sure. I have a question about the shark, the shark research. What type of sharks? What do you like? What is involved in the besides the tagging? Is there anything else along with it that you guys do with the shark conservation?
Yes, so we take them to Bimini. So they do the hammerhead when the hammerheads migrate. So we take them to Bimini to have an opportunity to watch the hammerheads in their environment. Usually we go with February. So we do some research with Dr. Neil Hammerslag with learning about shark ecology and shark behavior. With the shark tagging, we tag nurse sharks, bull sharks, and hammerheads. So they get a chance to actually see them up on the boat. They're pulling them up on the boat quickly and tagging their dorsal fins and and releasing them.
And this is a supervised activity, so it's not.
Yes, it is. We're just not in the water like you see anybody. This is done with a huge team.
And additionally, they work towards getting their PADI Sharks Conservation certification at the same time.
And it's an IACOC approved protocol. Just want to put it out there. We're just not out in the water.
Other questions? No? Cool. I'll also ask with the Egypt program, what was the inspiration for that, and also like what were I guess more of the girls' reactions? Like, is it something that you go back and do? Is it one time? Because I know you have the cohorts. Like,
yeah, we go back. So everyone will have a chance to go to Egypt. So we go back. We went in 2019, and with COVID hitting, so we're going back now this year in November. It's a different type of dive environment because it's of the salinity of the Red Sea. So they get a chance to understand, like, hey, I need a little more weight here. And just the marine life, the diversity. I was even awestruck by looking at the clams that were like huge. Like, for the girls, they saw even though they saw the whale sharks in the Georgia Aquarium, they actually had an opportunity to see the whale sharks in the Red Sea. And then in their night dive, all the Spanish dancers came out. It's like everything came out for them at night. So they really, really enjoy it. They do, and the cultural aspects, going to the Papyrus Institute, the Bedouin dinner that they have. So they really, really enjoy themselves.
I guess I have another question because it's just my turn. Now I just get to chat. So you guys, so it started in 2017, and you mentioned that you're now like having some cohorts that have graduated college.
Yes.
So like,
well, no, they're in college. So I have one that's going into her senior year. We have some juniors and 3 freshmen.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 freshmen.
Okay, awesome. And you said that you would probably follow them out as well. Yeah. Okay. So like if they go to grad school or they go
we'll know. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Any last questions for the super awesome? Yes.
If you start like talking to them at 9, do they all have different age groups of like their diving? Like how many? Because if you have like 8 to 10 people, like are they all in the same kind of age group?
No, they're not. So we use scaffolding, where there is peer mentoring. So there might be a 9-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Our preference, based on the evidence-based research is, they talk about getting them in middle school to really get them to build that STEM identity, that STEM engagement that's more persistent. So we definitely have a diverse cohort every year of different abilities, and it builds sisterhood. Everyone is leaning on everyone. If they don't understand something, they might go to their big sister and get some assistance, and it builds leadership.
Last questions? Yeah.
Let's look at what's in the blue hole. Do they, as a dive, were they like looking at doing experiments or stuff down there? Or was that just a strict dive or a combination of both?
Well, you want to handle that for scientific diving?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah. So, with you guys going to the blue hole, was it just like strictly a dive? Was there anything that you guys were researching or planning to, collecting any sort of data, anything like that with the blue hole?
Gotcha. Well, yeah, the Blue Grotto, right? So the Blue Grotto in Florida, we went down in as really for training. So it met the requirements for depth for the different dives had different depth requirements, as well as different activities that you had to do at those certain depths. So, and that's part of the AAUS scientific diving training protocols.
And also on Andros Island, where Forfar station is, they looked at oceanic versus freshwater blue holes. So they were doing some chemical analysis just to understand the differences.
Nice.
So AUS, that's awesome that you're integrating into that system. Have you ever worked with the Nautical Archaeology Society NAS training for underwater archaeology training?
No.
They do avocational programs, and it would be a really cool thing to integrate into your program.
Outstanding. We will jot that down. Can you tell us what that is one more time?
Yeah, Nautical Archaeology Society. I'll send you the information. I'm connected with Caroline, and we'll get that to you.
We'll definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
We got to spread the love.
Forward to our partnership with Wisconsin Maritime Museum as well.
Yes.
Perfect.
With dry suit training.
Yes, for sure. Okay.
Full face mask. Yeah, the full face mask is necessary too with the cold water hitting your face.
Yes.
Okay. I do know that Nevada, you have a couple of pictures at the end of your presentation as well, don't you? I believe so.
Oh, so that's our young ladies 2 weeks ago at the Georgia Aquarium. So that is what we call cohort 3-4. And they range in age of 13 to 17. So that's cohort 3-4. And for our Hui capstone, one of you want to talk about what the girls are doing here?
Sure. We had them onto the campus for a 3-day immersive experience where they collected water samples for chemical analysis. They had some ROV training. They had some workshops working with their Arduinos for their own units that they had brought, and integrating pH sensors. And then this was them touring my lab with the robots that we develop in our lab. This is an AUV that can go to 600 meters. So they were learning about, you know, the antenna and the other sensors on here.
Okay. Any other questions?
No? Okay, I think we will wrap it up. Can everyone join me in giving a hand to Dwayne, Nevada, and Gwyneth? It was awesome. I had a great time
Thank you.
about all of that.
We'll see you soon as it warms up a little bit.
Yes, very excited for this future partnership, which is awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. I would also like to thank Lizzie and Beth and Sarah, who have all helped us make sure that this presentation went as smoothly as it did. And I would like to thank all of you guys again for coming on out. If you enjoyed this program and you want to learn or see more about it, you should consider supporting the museum. Supporting the museum comes in a couple different forms. You can become a member. You can donate. We do have our 28 boats plus one campaign that's going on this month. So if you donate $28, you will be entered into a raffle to win being on this boat as they on the cobia as they do an engine start. And we're celebrating each of the 28 boats built here in Manitowoc during the month of February. Or you can tell your friends about this wonderful program and the programs like it. Coming up, we've got on February 8th, you can hang out with that lady who was talking in the back a lot, Kathy Green, and she will win shipwrecks and charcuterie. Kathy's going to be talking about how underwater archaeologists find wrecks and how they, process them, understand them, all of that, while getting to enjoy some tropical themed charcuterie, which will be quite fun. And then next month for our Think and Drink, we are going to be having a talk about waves and spars. Waves is the Navy's, I'm going to get myself in trouble. It's the Navy and Coast Guard's women in the military talk that will be going on. So that will be super cool as well. Finally, if you guys want to tell me what you want to learn more about, there's a survey. If you fill that out, I'll do my best to try and bring some topics that everyone wants to hear. So thank you so much. Thank you again to everyone.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Kathy, do you know if Alyssa's still around at all? Do you know if Alyssa's still around?